Hello, it's David Shipp here from Coaching Construction. On today's video, I'd like to talk about a coaching model. So, as the name suggests, coaching construction, we highly encourage coaching wherever we can in the construction industry, because again, another video I've done is on situational leadership, and that looks at management styles. If you've watched the video, great. If you haven't, just a quick rundown is that there's four very distinctive management styles you can use with an individual, a team member who is at different stages of development in terms of a task or a job role. The first one is direction, so directing management style, and the second one is coaching. So directing is very much a one-way conversation, telling someone what to do, not really taking anything back from them. You know what needs to be done, and you tell them how it's to be done, what's to be done in a certain amount of time, in a certain amount of quality, and then basically we move from there into, once someone is actually getting better at their job, is to actually start having a two-way conversation, because the more you have the directing behavior and the management style, is that that person will always just ask for what to do, but moving into a coaching management style is that you open up a two-way conversation, and you're asking them to take more responsibility and for actually developing and to actually delivering that job. It takes a bit more time, but what happens is that you'll get to the point where you can actually start delegating that work to them, trusting that they know what they're doing. Whereas if you always stay in the directing role, which is probably, when we do our trainings, the most sort of like popular management style. But this isn't about being, this is more about having the flexibility to have everything, because you still need to use directing style on people that are new to their job, and opening up a two-way conversation is useless really until they've actually had some experience of what they're doing. So anyway, coming back to this this model, is that, so what we're trying to do is we're trying to get people that are predominantly they always go down the directing route into a more coaching management style, so that they start actually moving and developing people through the process of maturity, which is another thing that I've covered on another video. So this coaching model has been around for a long time. It's probably one of the first ones I learnt myself, and many people use it, and it's very simple in terms of to remember it, and it's called the GROW model, as you can see here on the board. And so each of those letters stands for something that basically is the process you go through in terms of coaching someone and developing them. So let's kick off with G. So G is goal. So when we're having a coaching conversation, we want to be looking at, well, what is the thing to be achieved? Now, coaching is a massive subject, depending on what industry you're looking at, and we can look at sports coaching, and or we can look at company coaching, business coaching, performance coaching. There's all different types of coaching. But the one thing that binds it all together is what is the goal? So if you're looking at a sports coach, is that, I don't know, let's say football, the goal, I know it's probably not the best one, because you're actually scoring goals in football, but it is, that thing is to score more goals than the opposition. The other goal is to win a cup, and all these different goals that are in there. So when we're having, let's bring it back to more of a company and work environment, is what is the goal? Is as a supervisor or manager, is it to complete all the quality assurance forms, or to even to just to complete one, if that is the goal of the conversation. So first one is goal. So always have, what are we trying to achieve in terms of this conversation, and or getting someone to a point at which they're growing and developing. So number one, coaching. Number two, for the R, is reality. So when we talk about reality in this sense, is that we're talking about, well, what's happening at the moment, because how close are we to that goal? Are we are we like a long way away from it? Are we close? And that will dictate what kind of conversation we're going to have moving forward, because it's very different if someone's never done whatever the thing is to someone who's already had a bit of experience and it needs tweaking, or etc, etc. So we've gone to goal. Always have that in mind. What are we trying to achieve? Second one is reality. What's going on at the moment? Like, what is happening in terms of like, how much time do you have? How much experience have you had up to now? All different things there. Moving on to the third one is options. So often I think it's it could be people fall into the trap of going, right, I need to do this, and this is the way to do it, and it's the first thing that comes into their head, and that's what they do. They just, that's what they do. But when we're talking about coaching, especially when we're trying to coach people and team members and individuals that work with us, is that to actually get their buy-in, to actually find out, well, what do you see as the options? Because when we go from a directing management style to a coaching management style, is that we start getting this two-way conversation. And it's using the open questions, and I share that with on a lot of the videos that I do. Is and if you haven't watched them before, just quickly, open questions are your hows, your whys, your wheres, your whats. Closed questions are those questions where you ask a question and the person can say yes or no. Open questions, or you ask a question with like a how, why, where, what, and so on, is that person, it forces them in a way to share more, and that's where you get the insights and, in a way, your options. Because asking, coming up with your own ideas and asking someone whether they agree with them would be a closed question, and they'd say yes or no. Whereas if you, on the options part of a conversation, if you say, well, what do you reckon the options are in terms of us completing these equality assurance forms? How would you do it? And then what that does is it opens up their buy-in. It does lots of things in terms of like trust, in terms of like their psychological kind of like interaction with you. And so we go, so goal, reality, we look at the options, what's available, and then finally is wrap up. So this is where coaching conversations and questions can go on and on and on. Like there's no end to it. But we do need it in a coaching conversation, a point at which we've discussed the goal, we've discussed what's going on at the moment, we've discussed what the options are, and then it's to wrap up and find out, okay, well, where is the commitment? What is being committed to? What option is the best one to go with at the moment, or is just hands down the best thing to do? And it's to look at, well, what's the next step? So that next step may be more support. It may be that when's the next time you'll have another conversation to discuss this, and all these different things. So just a really quick run through of the GROW model for coaching, and we certainly use it in our trainings because it's very easy to understand. We go into a lot more depth in the trainings, especially practice, because I know they say practice makes perfect, but it really does in this, because what we do is we get people together and we get them actually in coaching conversations. And what's crazy is that it's more difficult than you think, really, because it's a skill at the end of the day. And what we find is that a lot of people fall into the trap of asking closed questions rather than you know, opening up those questions to the other person that you're having the conversation with is actually is actually talking. So that's definitely something that we find in the training, is that people fall into that trap. The other thing is just really looking at how this plays a part in the workplace, which is what we're trying to do, is like move people from a directing management style to a coaching management style. And I think I've said it before in other videos, is that it can take more time, but in the long run it saves time, because you're not there, the person that the team member that you're coaching isn't keep coming back just for requests of what they need to do. So very quick video on the GROW model. I think it's a great model, fully recommend it. If you Google it, YouTube it, you'll have other people that are talking about it. And that's it for now. Thank you for watching. It's David Shipp for Coaching Construction, and take care and stay safe.